This video has absolutely nothing to do with bananas, but they were here. So I thought I'd use them as a thumbnail. Check this out. So we have some pretty successful experiments happening underneath the cupboard here. This is mycelium growing on cardboard. I think this is blue oysters from our first batch of oyster mushrooms, and it's doing very well. This right here is what I'm most excited about, is this these mushrooms we got at a local market. And this is a mixture of straw, coffee grinds, and wood shavings. If you can look in the side there, you can see it's really starting to grow. So these were big, beautiful, white, fluffy white and yellow, slightly yellow, fuzzy oyster mushrooms. And we're going to be able to grow those. So that is very exciting to me, because we just found them at a farmer's market, and now we have a new species. We currently have 8 different species of gourmet and medicinal mushrooms growing here at our tiny little suburban permaculture farm. Walk out the front here. Started saving some sawdust to run some mycelium onto as well. We've got a whole bunch of buckets. I think we have about 40 of these buckets that we are going to be doing bucket culture out of. Let's see, we added a bunch of stuff here. We added 2 additional 55-gallon barrels, which we're using to pasteurize and mix. So these are really cool because we can add our substrate to it, pasteurize it in hydrated lime water, and then we can tip it and drain it really easily, and then just use it as a mixing barrel to add the spawn to. This is an experiment where we cracked one of our old buckets open and used some wood chips and just added some of the straw that was in there to that. Straw is proving to be a really useful substrate for us. We got all these wood chips that we're working on rinsing off, so I got a pressure washer, and I've been just blasting this off and raking it around to get rid of the excess mold and dirt and stuff like that. Our Hugo cultures are coming to life. Our tomatoes aren't really growing that much. We'll see what happens, but the Hugo culture's doing well. It's got lots of stuff going on inside of it. As you can see, we've extended this garden out here. We picked up a bunch of these flagstones for free, which is exciting because they'll make nice stepping stones and pathways. Over here you can see we've placed them in our garden so that we have spots to step to. There's one there hidden underneath the soil. Potatoes are starting to come up over there. I also sliced some of our logs into pieces like that we can use. Over here, some lettuces. These little lettuce seedlings are popping up everywhere. So there's going to be lettuce town over here. Around the corner, in this corner here, I decided to utilize this space. So we put some asparagus crowns in here. So eventually some asparagus will come up here for us every year. The milkweeds are doing well. My mom uses those to attract butterflies and to feed the butterflies that she raises. At some point, this spot along the side of the house, we can line a whole bunch of logs up there, like shiitake logs. This is from the other side. You can see here, there's some lettuces that we brought back, but the lettuce from seed is doing so well that I don't feel like I need to buy them. Those are going to do well. This area here is also going to be a Hugo culture. All of these beds have wine cap mycelium and wood chips and straw underneath of them. So there'll be mushrooms popping up at some point. We recently picked up some various different plants that bugs don't like. So we got some rosemary and some sage and this stuff. I think it's called piss off plant. I don't think that's what it's actually called, but somebody calls it that. Somebody named it that. There's a bunch of different sprouts in here. A lot of our seedlings and sprouts are getting eaten, sadly, but it is what it is. Let's see, then let's walk around back. Ooh, we can stop off here for a minute. So this is a barrel of wood chips that I added a bunch of shiitake spawn to. So I'm going to try to to make this whole barrel of wood chips turn into shiitake spawn. And if that works, we're going to try growing shiitake out of beds instead of out of logs or fruiting bags. These are our lion's mane, which is, just a second, let me, oh. Okay, got it. So this is lion's mane spawn on aspen wood shavings, and it's starting to grow. It's growing slowly. I think it may not be wet enough, so I'm going to take one of these and run some water through it. There are holes in the bottom of the bucket, so it'll drain out. This thing has come in really handy for slicing up straw. We just run straw through that and we can slice it up, make it easier for our mushrooms to grow in it. I dug up this old chest that we can use to store some stuff. We're getting coffee grounds from one of the local, from the local Starbucks. They got a coffee ground, so that's good to grow mushrooms on. What's going on over here? Not much going on here. This was supposed to be blue oysters, but it turned into a bacterial colony, and I've just kind of left it. I'm thinking about scrapping it, turning it into compost and restarting. And we come into the back. I don't know what these are, dahlias, I think. Some sort of flower. My mom's the flower gardener, I'm the vegetable gardener. So this cage had been pink oysters, but this turned into a bacterial culture as well. So I'm actually cutting this cage in half, so we'll have two, and this will be easier for us to access. We're going to cut some pass along here. More wine caps are going to go in behind there. Laying some wood chips down on some of these paths to make it a little bit more accessible. Over here, this is going to be our shiitake town. So we clipped some pieces off of this tree here, the cedar tree, and we're going to make a shiitake bed here and try to grow shiitakes out of wood chip beds. Let's see what's going on here. Obviously, my mom has all kinds of lovely flowers growing in her garden. These are going to all be inoculated at some point so that mushrooms grow out of them. This area here, I'm going to build a different stand for this canoe so it lifts up higher and we can put a mushroom bed underneath it. This is really, really exciting, is that this right here is a tiny little piece of the pink oyster that actually is doing okay. So we ended up with just this tiny little bit of pink oyster mycelium from that aborted bed, and we're going to try to run it onto this. Let me come around here. The most exciting thing, in my opinion, is the wine cap beds. These are just doing so well. We added a bunch of new straw. We just sort of peeled it back and added some new straw. So this is exciting because this mycelium is doing really, 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 really well. Let me just dig in here for a minute and show you. Like, look at that. It's really thick. It's a lot thicker, deeper underneath too, and it's starting to go onto the wood chips, which is exciting. Both of these are blue oysters. This one is, I think, having the cages right open like this is too much exposure to light and air. If I go deeper in, you can see, let me pull this back and find some, I gotta dig in there. There's a little bit of mycelium starting to run in these, but it's not the healthiest culture yet. There might be some bacteria growing. We'll see what happens with this. That actually looks like it's starting to go there. These wood chips weren't cleaned as well. I'm going through a different process now where I'm hitting them with the pressure washer. I'm rinsing them a couple times, so that should do the trick. But I realized that these cages, the problem of having them too open can be easily solved just by sliding some cardboard in there. So that's what we've done here. This is 2 different layers, about halfway. On the bottom layer, it's just straw and blue oyster spawn. That's doing really, really well. And then we put another piece of cardboard in the middle. And then on top, this is more blue oyster spawn on a combination of coffee grinds, wood chips, and chopped up straw. So this should do really well. And then we're just going to cut some holes in the sides of the cardboard so the mushrooms come out in predictable places, or hopefully they do. I mean, the blue oyster mushroom will eat right through this cardboard at some point, so they could pop up anywhere they decide to, but I think if I make holes, it'll work better. Back here, there's a lot of work still to be done back here. We're really sort of working from front to back. This is an old hugelkultur right here that we planted years ago. It's kind of fallen into forgetfulness, but we're going to come in here and clean this all up at some point and get some probably some leafy greens back here. This is the beginning of another, well, actually this already was a hugelkultur. It kind of got like neglected, but we added a bunch of the straw from the pink oyster bed that we were starting, and we're just filling it up with soil. So this is going to probably be a place where we put a bunch of lettuce and kale and things like that. This is I think this is a high bush blueberry plant. We might take that out of here because this soil is a lot more alkaline than blueberries like. Blueberries like acidic soil. So I'm going to try migrating that somewhere else to see if we can get some berries off of it. But that's what's up here. We got one of these. Someone was giving one of those away, so we got a free composter. And then this whole area can be cleaned up back here, which, we're going to do at some point. There's a bunch of old dead wood there that we're using for the hugelkulturs, but this is a great spot in the yard for mushrooms. It's nice and cool and moist back here, and there's lots of shade. So this is going to be a spot where it'll be really good for us to grow a bunch of mushrooms. So that's what's up. This is the update. I went through this video a lot faster than I thought. Oh, this is going to be a spot too. We're going to put something there. But I went through this video a lot faster than I thought I would. Usually I ramble on and on. Today, not so much. Short and sweet. There's one more thing though. And that is that along the edge over here, we are going to plant some gardens from here down to the road, just on our side of the property here. So yeah, so this is a nice sunny spot all throughout the day, and that's going to eventually have well, it's going to be another vegetable garden. But that's what's up. Here we are working away, and things are coming along very well. We started this operation, I guess it would have been early May, or maybe even in April, maybe middle of April. And it's really coming along. We've already got a couple of flushes of mushrooms out of the farm, so that's really exciting, and there's going to be plenty more to come.